All right, all right. Here we are back in the game, and now we're going to be talking about hip bursitis. And I cannot stand the diagnosis of bursitis because it should be hip bursitis secondary to what is the actual cause of the bursitis. Unfortunately, ICD-10 codes or International Classification of Disease codes give you recommendations for this as an actual condition. Figure out what the cause is. You might as well just say you have swelling, you have inflammation, because that's really what bursitis is. But for completeness, let's go ahead and go through this. So inflammation of a bursa around the hip, commonly trochanteric, can be greater trochanter, iliopsoas, or ischiogluteal bursitis, most commonly. So pathophysiology, most common causes of hip pain, by far one of the most common causes. And what you're looking at here is irritation, usually secondary to soft tissue snapping back and forth. So a snapping hip is going to cause the bursitis typically, or repetitive action. So causes include falls, contact sports, surgical complications, other injuries like direct impact traumas, and repetitive rubbing of the iliotibial band. So remember, TFL and gluteus maximus are two muscles that go into that iliotibial band and could lead to increased rubbing over top of there. Leg length inequalities, SI joint dysfunctions, and other biomechanical changes. There are more bursa than this, but these are the main ones. So iliopsoas, where the psoas would be running over on its way to the lesser trochanter. Trochanteric bursitis around the outside here with the iliotibial band we just talked about. An ischiogluteal bursitis where hamstring origination points and even the short lateral rotators can rotate over, slide over that tissue a little bit, or even gluteus maximus potentially. So pretty common condition actually, 1.8 per 1,000 people, more common in women than men. Any age, peak age, generally 30 to 50, or peak athletic years potentially as well. Way more common in women. Repetitive trauma or compensation to coexisting biomechanical issue, okay? Repetitive stress. If I have a snapping hip and every time I run, it goes snap, 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 that constant irritation and snapping over top of the bony prominences leads to irritation and causes the bursitis. So you don't treat the bursitis, you treat the cause of the bursitis is what you wind up doing. All right. Can also be secondary to shoulder strap, carrying on a bag, like even just the way it causes your whole body to tilt over a little bit, sitting on one side or on a hard surface repetitively, hip and SI, contact surface on downhill skiing, you can see it as well, or downhill footwear, all that good stuff. What else? Rheumatoid arthritis, again, not super common, but you can have rheumatoid nodules in these bursa, and ankylosing spondylitis is just another seronegative spondyloarthropathy, so just be aware of that. Prior surgeries, bone spurs and calcium deposits can be there, and contracture and scar tissues definitely warranted. So we're going to talk about this like it's a trochanteric bursitis, but it would be the same in other areas. So dull pain over the posterolateral thigh. The person can literally grab the lateral side of their thigh and say, yeah, I can feel it right in here. And it is worse with activity, especially getting up and out of a chair. Anything that involves hip flexion and extension as you move more through the range and causes the snap to take place. Patients who have had a past local surgery, orthoscopic surgery, hip bursitis is more common. You've had a trauma to the body, so it's the same thing as the blunt force falling trauma, and you result in an area of sensitivity. In one study, 75 patients with bursitis, 67 had a history of chronic low back pain. So be aware there are comorbidities with this as well. And ipsilateral osteoarthritis, this change in biomechanics with DJD could also influence what's occurring there. So inspection, you're going to observe the gait, usually be in normal limits, but you might see an antalgic limp, or you might see that it actually snaps with the snapping hip. If they've fallen down recently, you'll see the ecchymosis potentially as well, or look for abrasions over the site. I had one patient in last week, avid hiker, and she actually had trochanteric bursitis, but she's like 32 or something. She had slipped and fallen on the side of her thigh, big gash up and down the side of her thigh, huge bruise. Well, we know what the cause of it is right there, and it should probably go away relatively quickly if she keeps on moving it and does good treatment options. All right, palpation, possible spasm, especially in the gluteal muscles or TFL, definitely look into that. But the key finding for bursitis is tenderness over the bursa. So literally you can palpate it and they will give you the jump sign right away. And that's really what the special tests are actually doing as well. Active range of motion, passive range of motion within normal limits unless you stress the damaged area. For the specifics like trochanteric, iliopsoas, and ischiogluteal, I give you the actions that you want to watch. If you contract the muscles that go over top of it, they're going to cause pain. So resisted hip flexion, go figure, that makes my iliopsoas bursitis worse, right? Neurovascular within normal limits. If you have neurovascular signs, you need to look for another pathology. Differential diagnosis, again, just because there's a potential correlation right there, osteoarthritis of the hip should be another comorbidity you're looking for as well. Lumbar radiculopathy, DJD, iliopsoas issues can be there. You want to look out for septic arthritis. Extremely rare, but if you missed it, it's got to be one of these conditions that we make sure to rule out, okay? Meralgia peristetica, which of course is that lateral femoral cutaneous nerve entrapment. Obese or pregnant patients potentially. Iliotibial band syndromes, all of that good stuff. All right, tests. Outside of palpation and a good history is going to be Ober's test. Palpate over top and see if you can't reproduce symptoms. Patrick's, especially even if you did a resisted Patrick's and they had them contract their psoas, you might notice that for more of a iliopsoas bursitis. Diagnostic imaging, not required. You should be able to figure this out. You might consider ultrasound or MRI if you wanted to have a better look at it, or rule out other pathologies like an X-ray for hip osteoarthritis, but again, not usually warranted. So for patients, it's going to depend on what's going on for them specifically, but as a general rule, biopsychosocial support, making sure they have good general measures in their life to keep making sure they're sleeping well, their diet's good, they're not, they're avoiding obesity and things like this. And then taking them through the meth, get them on the drugs, okay? Of course, it's not drugs. Meth stands for movement, exercise, traction, and heat, okay? Assess for hip flexibility and contracture of tissue, looking for aggravation and weight loss if it is a factor. Massage therapy is a winner, chicken dinner on this one. Great things you can do for massage, working around the areas of the tissue that's damaged. If it's acute, of course, not right on that super acute area, but on areas of compensation. And then you pick it, you can do it. As you know, I'm a big fan of instrument-assisted techniques, so that could also offer some big benefit right there. I had pretty good luck with that. Joint mobs can be good for areas of compensation. So you're getting into low back, SI, hip, knee, all of that. Anywhere in the kinetic chain that could be involved. Electrotherapeutics, acupuncture have some benefit. Medications, again, only short-term use. And I would suggest to you the medical cure-all, or I should say the old medical cure-all of injection of corticosteroids, usually not recommended, okay? We know now in the literature, it's pretty clear, it may cause tissue degeneration. It might help for a couple, 3 months. And if you haven't addressed the underlying cause, you're going to be dealing with the same pathology again in the future. Surgery, rarely required, but may be required for a soft tissue release if that has been identified as the specific cause of the pathology. Like for myself, I have an internal snapping hip where my psoas snaps over top of my lesser trochanter on my left-hand side, but it only does it when I lift my leg past 90 degrees and come straight down. If I turn my knee out to the side or slightly horizontally abduct my thigh, I don't get the click anymore. It doesn't bother me when I'm running, jujitsu, yoga, or anything like that. So there's no need to have any real treatment on that one specifically. But if it was aggravating every time I'm walking, every time I'm running, maybe I've had a prior trauma in the area, and it's just getting worse, you've gone through all of your conservative treatments, then yeah, maybe you know what, it may be warranted for a surgical consultation in these cases. So rehab programs, you're going to stretch and strengthen the area, progress through activities as long as they do not aggravate, and that will vary on a case-by-case basis. Each patient is going to be a little bit different. Education is key. Education, empowerment, exercise, and then our manual therapies come in. So appropriateness of size of padding, if they have if their impact trauma is happening over top of the ladder of the greater trochanter. Do not resume high level of activity too soon because it can make it worse. Yeah, especially following surgeries, but they'll have good protocols to follow with that. But again, prognosis, excellent. This thing responds extremely well. So massage therapy, here we have a nice draping of the lateral side of the thigh so you can expose that area. I'm a big fan of these seated twisting poses, leaning against the wall, pulling yourself off of an open door, even a lunge, working through the hamstrings with straight leg raise, or even a nice deep squat like that. You cannot go wrong. That's Garland pose. You cannot go wrong getting into deep squats for the win. So that takes you through the bursitis of the hip. Fantastic condition. There's lots that we can do. One of the biggest things is just educating and empowering our patients just to begin with. And then depending on the individualized care that they require, you can make specific recommendations beyond that point. All right. Thank you very much. And we'll see you on the next video.